I never thought I'd be the guy to find out my wife was cheating on me, especially not on our anniversary. That day was supposed to be special. Jessica and I had been together for almost 7 years, and aside from the usual ups and downs, I thought we were solid. We didn't argue about much, and I always believed she loved me, or at least that's what I told myself. But looking back, there were subtle signs I ignored, little things that now seem glaringly obvious. Jessica had been acting strange for a few weeks. She'd come home later than usual, claiming it was work stuff or urgent meetings. She'd get calls and texts that she quickly silenced or dismissed. I'd notice her phone buzz and she'd immediately shove it in her purse or turn away when I tried to glance at the screen. She'd avoid eye contact. Honestly, I thought maybe she was stressed or having a rough patch at work. She always said she loved me, but her recent behavior was off. That night, after we had dinner at that fancy restaurant we'd been talking about for ages, I felt something was wrong. Jessica was unusually quiet during dinner, scrolling on her phone but not in a distracted way, more like she was hiding something. She kept checking her messages and I saw her smile at her screen. When I asked her what was so funny, she brushed it off, told me it was nothing and that I was paranoid. Yeah, sure. We got home and I decided to check her phone. I know trust and all that, but I wasn't feeling very trusting at that moment. I just had a weird gut feeling. So I snuck into her purse when she went to the bathroom. I found her phone tucked away behind her sunglasses. I unlocked it before she came back, and that's when I saw it, a string of messages between her and her boss, Daniel. They were flirty, way too flirty. It wasn't just work talk, and I could see from their texts that they'd been planning to meet up or had already met. My stomach dropped. My mind spun. I couldn't believe it. My wife, Jessica, with her bitchy attitude and all her lies, was cheating on me. And with my boss, no less. The man I'd trusted to lead our company. To be my friend. All those subtle signs, the late nights, the secretive behavior, they all made sense now. I was furious, but mostly I just felt crushed. I'd never imagined this kind of betrayal, especially not after all these years. It hit me hard and I knew I had to confront her. But I also knew everything was about to change. I couldn't sleep that night. My mind kept circling around what I'd seen, what I'd read. I kept asking myself how she could do this, how she could betray me like that, especially on our anniversary. It wasn't just the cheating, it was the way she lied about everything. She always called me paranoid or insecure when I brought up her strange behavior, but now I knew better. She had been hiding something, hiding someone. The next morning I woke up early, feeling sick. I had to talk to her but didn't know how. I didn't want to just yell or accuse without evidence, but at the same time I was boiling inside. I decided I'd confront her face to face before she left for her work emergency, whatever that was. I needed her to see that I knew. I wanted her to own up or at least get some kind of reaction from her. I couldn't keep this secret bottled up. She was in the kitchen when I came downstairs, pretending to be normal. Her eyes darted away when I looked at her, and she was wearing that fake innocent smile that I hated. I kept calm, mostly because I didn't want to lose control right then. I started with small talk, asking about her day, her work emergency, as if I didn't know. She shrugged and said it was nothing important, that she just had to go cover some late meeting. I stared at her, feeling the rage building, but I kept my voice steady. "Jessica, I need to talk to you about something," I said. My voice trembled a little, but I kept my composure. She looked at me with that bitchy smirk, the one that was so typical of her when she thought she was in control. "What's up?" she asked, but I could see the slight edge in her tone. I pulled out my phone and showed her the messages. Her face instantly went white. For a second, she just stared at the screen, then she burst out laughing, that fake, condescending laugh she always used when she was trying to brush something off. "Oh, come on, that's nothing," she said, tossing her hair. "Just some stupid banter at work. You're overreacting as usual." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. "That's not just banter, Jessica. Those messages are proof you've been lying to me. You've been sleeping with Daniel, haven't you?" She scoffed and rolled her eyes. "Please, you're being ridiculous. It's just some work flirtation. You always assume the worst, but I swear nothing's happening. You're paranoid like always." I clenched my fists. "Don't lie to me. I saw the messages. You're cheating and you're lying about it. I trusted you, Jessica. I believed in us and you've been screwing around behind my back." My voice cracked and I could feel the tears threatening to come. I hated seeing her smirk like she was winning. She took a step closer, her voice dripping with that bitchy attitude she always had. "Look, I don't have time for your drama. I'm leaving for that emergency, remember. You can't keep ruining my day with this bullshit. I'll be back later and we'll talk then. Or maybe not, who cares?" Without another word, she grabbed her bag, threw a quick glance at me, and stormed out of the house, slamming the door behind her. I was left standing there, heart pounding, feeling numb. That moment was like a punch to my chest. I knew then that everything I thought I knew about my marriage was falling apart. I had no idea how to make sense of it all. But one thing was clear: I wasn't going to let her get away with this. I had to figure out what to do next. I spent the next few hours in a fog trying to process everything. I kept looking at my phone, rereading those messages, hoping maybe it was all some terrible joke, but it was. Jessica had been sneaking around with Daniel for weeks, if not longer. It made me feel sick. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and honestly furious. How could she do this to me? After all the years, all the times I thought we were solid, it was like my whole world was crumbling. I knew I had to act, but I didn't want to just blow things up without thinking. I started planning my revenge, some way to make her regret what she'd done, to make her see that she couldn't get away with hurting me like this. At first, I just wanted her to feel guilty, to realize that her lies and cheats had consequences. But then the darker part of me took over. I wanted her to hurt as badly as I was hurting. I remembered something I'd seen on her phone, the messages with Daniel. I decided I'd get more proof, just in case. I needed to know how deep this went. I started digging into her email and social media accounts. I found more evidence: photos, receipts from hotels, even some flirtatious comments on her Instagram. It was more than just a fling. It was a full-blown affair, and she'd been lying to my face about it all along. That night, I sat in the dark, stewing. I thought about how stupid I'd been to trust her. Jessica was always bitchy, always putting herself above everyone else, and now it was clear she'd been doing that with me, behind my back. I felt a mix of pain and rage. I wanted her pay for what she'd done, but I also knew I needed to be smart about it. I didn't want to just confront her blindly and make things worse. The next day, I decided to get some revenge. I wanted her to see that her actions had consequences. I started by calling her boss, Daniel. I told him I knew about the affair and that I was going to make sure everyone knew. I told him that I'd ruin his career if he didn't back off and end things with Jessica. I wasn't just angry, I was determined. That bastard had betrayed me too, and I wasn't going to let him get away with it. Meanwhile, I also started spreading little rumors around the office, just enough to make Daniel uncomfortable. I wanted him to feel the heat, to understand that I wasn't going to sit idly by. Jessica, on the other hand, started noticing the cold shoulder from her coworkers, and her bitchy attitude only made it worse. She was furious when she started getting called out, but she kept lying, denying everything. Typical Jessica, always quick to spin her lies and pretend she was innocent. I knew she'd try to deny everything when I confronted her again, but I was prepared. I wanted her to realize she couldn't manipulate her way out of this. The plan wasn't just about revenge. It was about making her feel the pain she'd inflicted on me, in whatever small way I could. I wanted her to realize that her betrayal wasn't going to be swept under the rug, that I was done being naive. I wasn't going to be the fool she thought I was anymore. The day I decided to confront her again was the day everything started to spiral even further out of control. I was sitting in the living room, pretending to be calm, but inside I was boiling. I knew she'd come back home eventually, and I was ready. I had already gathered enough evidence to make her realize I wasn't some naive fool anymore. When she walked in, her eyes immediately darted around, trying to gauge what I knew. Her bitchy smirk was still there, but it was thinner now. "Look, Jessica," I started, voice steady but cold, "I know everything. About you and Daniel, about the hotel stays, the secret messages. Don't even bother denying it." I pulled out my phone and clicked through the screenshots. Her face froze, then contorted into something ugly: anger, denial, maybe a little panic. She tried to brush past me, acting like I was just overreacting, but I wasn't buying her bullshit anymore. Her voice rose in that bitchy, dismissive tone she always used. "Oh, please, you're so damn paranoid. You think I have time for that stupid bullshit. You're accusing me of cheating and I'm telling you you're wrong. You're always wrong, Kevin." I clenched my fists. Wrong. Jessica, if I'm wrong, then why did I find these messages? Why did I see the pictures of you with Daniel? Don't lie to me anymore. I deserve the truth. My voice cracked at the end, but I held my ground. She huffed, crossing her arms. "You're crazy. You always jump to conclusions. That's what you do. Accuse me of stupid things because you're insecure. You want to ruin everything just because you're too damn jealous. I'm done with this bullshit." Her eyes flashed with that familiar hostility, and she looked like she was trying to dismiss me, to make me the crazy one. "No more," I said, voice low and deadly. "You've been lying to me for weeks. You think I don't see the way you look at him, the way you text him when you think I'm not looking. That's over now. I'm done trusting you, Jessica, done." I could feel the anger boiling over, but I also felt a strange sense of clarity, like I was finally seeing her for what she truly was. She stared at me for a long moment, then rolled her eyes and turned to grab her purse. "Whatever, Kevin, you're just jealous. You're insecure. You're making all this up because you're afraid of losing me." Her voice was bitter, more bitchy than ever. She was trying to gaslight me, trying to make me doubt what I saw, but I wasn't buying it anymore. I knew the truth, and I knew I had to decide what to do next, because this wasn't just about her cheating. It was about who I was going to be after this. That night I stayed up, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything again and again. It was like a sick movie that I couldn't turn off. My mind kept going over her lies, her sneers, the secret messages I'd uncovered. I felt this crushing weight in my chest, part heartbreak, part fury. I'd loved her, believed in us. I'd even defended her when people said she was bitchy or manipulative. How blind I'd been. I knew I couldn't keep pretending it was just a misunderstanding or some innocent mistake. Jessica had been cheating on me, and with my boss, no less. That was a blow even harder to stomach. I had to decide whether to fight for the marriage or cut my losses. Honestly, I was leaning toward cutting her out completely. I couldn't look at her the same way anymore. The betrayal ran too deep, but I also wanted her to feel it. I wanted her to understand what she'd lost, what she'd thrown away with her lies. So I started planning my revenge more carefully. I reached out to some of her friends, people I knew she'd confided in, and subtly hinted that I knew everything. I told them I was hurt but also angry, and that I was considering some serious consequences. I wanted her to see that her actions had consequences beyond just me being angry. Meanwhile, I kept an eye on her. Social media, her phone, her emails. I wanted to know if she'd try to spin her version of it, if she'd try to manipulate her way out of this. But I also knew that this wasn't just about catching her. It was about making her understand that I wasn't stupid or weak, that I could fight back, that I was done being naive. One thing that kept popping into my mind was how she always acted so bitchy and dismissive, like she was better than everyone else. That attitude was part of why I'd overlooked her flaws for so long. But now, seeing her so exposed, so desperate to deny everything, I realized her arrogance was just cover for her guilt. She thought she could lie her way out of it, but I knew better now. In the end, I knew I had a choice to make. I could forgive her, try to rebuild, or I could walk away and never look back. Honestly, I was leaning toward walking. Trust was shattered, and I wasn't sure I could ever get that back. But one thing was certain. I'd never feel the same about her again. Whatever I decided, I knew this experience was going to change me forever. The day I finally confronted her again, I knew it was do or die. I laid everything out, my evidence, my feelings, my decision that I wasn't going to be played for a fool anymore. Jessica sat across from me, her eyes narrowing into that bitchy, condescending look she always had when she thought she was in control. But this time it was different. She couldn't spin her lies anymore. The truth was right there, staring her in the face. "Jessica," I said, voice steady but with a raw edge, "I've had enough. You cheated on me with Daniel, you lied to my face, and I'm not going to pretend it didn't happen. I've seen everything. I trusted you and you just threw it all away. I don't think I can ever forget that. So here's what's happening. I'm done. Done with the lies, the cheating, your bullshit attitude. I want you out of my life." Her face twisted into a mixture of anger and disbelief. "You're overreacting. You're being dramatic." I didn't do anything. No, Jessica, I interrupted her. You did everything. You lied, betrayed me, and thought you could get away with it, but I'm not stupid. I see you now. And I see through your fake bitchy attitude. You're nothing but a selfish, manipulative woman who thinks she's better than everyone else because she can cheat and lie and still expect everyone to bow down to her. Well, I'm done. Get your shit and get out. She looked like she wanted to scream, but her voice was too choked. She tried to deny everything again, even tried to spin some bullshit about how she was sorry and that she didn't mean for it to happen, but I didn't buy it. Not anymore. The damage was done, and I knew I'd never see her the same way again. As she packed her things, she kept hurling insults, trying to make me feel guilty, trying to make me the bad guy. But I just sat there, numb and cold. I realized that I'd spent so many years trying to fix something that was already broken beyond repair. She was never going to change. Her attitude, her lies, her cheating, they were who she was. When she finally left, I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. The house was dead silent, and I was alone with my thoughts. I knew I'd be hurt for a long time, but at least now I could breathe again. I'd lost someone I thought loved me, but I also gained clarity. I learned a hard lesson about trust and betrayal. Never take anything for granted. Looking back, I can see how blind I was, how I let her bullshit slide for years because I wanted to believe in her. But I also learned that sometimes you have to cut your losses and walk away, no matter how painful it is. Jessica's betrayal was a wake-up call, reminding me that I deserve someone who respects me, who doesn't play games and lie to my face. I'll move on, I'll heal, and someday I'll find someone who truly values me. But for now, I'm just glad it's over.